Hi, Rex Rogers here from Amman, Jordan. I thought while I was gone in the Middle East this time I'd do a video blog, or a vlog as I call it these days, and just record some impressions each night of the kinds of things that I've been privileged to see. Today, of course, we spent a whole day in and around Amman, and Amman is a very beautiful city. I was just struck immediately when I came into the incredible airport, but then also the city itself. I mean, there's no litter. It sounds funny, but I'm a guy who's sensitive to litter, whether it's U.S. cities or somewhere else in the world, and I see it and it always strikes me as a selfish act, but there's very little litter in this city. It's incredible. 4.5 million people, and you have a beautiful, clean city. It's a city with bilingual signage. Almost everything has English along with the Arabic script. I don't know if you can hear the call to prayer in the background, but the call to prayer is issued, of course, 5 times a day. It happens to be running right now as they're chanting from a nearby minaret at a mosque. And, of course, it's that kind of city, so you're aware of the religious element and the commitments of the people here. Very friendly people as we moved out and about and around today. And it's a city with a lot of roundabouts. It's almost like Cyprus or like the British kind of hangover or heritage there, but they're doing more and more roundabouts. I guess it reduces the amount of accidents that take place in intersections. They're less expensive to operate than those with lights and what have you. There are very few high-rise buildings. Now, when I say that, there are skyscrapers. You can look around. I mean, I'm in a hotel with about 14 stories, and there are bank buildings, typically, as you look around, that have those kind of, but there's not a lot of them. Actually, very few. They're scattered here and about all over the city, but most buildings are maybe 6, 7, 8 stories. You may see one 11, 10 or 11 stories, but it's kind of a uniform look, and of course the white stone and stucco as you look out across the landscape, and you can see a lot of minarets as the mosques are spread out around the city. Because they're usually taller than the 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever number of stories there are in a given building. Most people live in those kinds of apartment complexes, at least in Amman. It's a city of embassies, of course, because it's a capital city. Some beautiful embassies concentrated in a given area, much like Washington, D.C.'s Embassy Row. You see evidences of American pop cultural impact. There's, of course, McDonald's and KFC, Pizza Hut, Starbucks is everywhere in the airport and beyond that. Burger King, Hardee's. I was in a McDonald's today just to get a Diet Coke, and one of the largest McDonald's I think I've ever been in, brand new. And unlike home where there's fish on the menu but no chicken, there were several chicken sandwiches on the McDonald's menu, and they even had dessert, kind of like Tim Hortons back home, where you can buy donuts, whatnot. And typically you can't buy donuts back home at McDonald's, so kind of different. We were out away from the city about an hour to the Jordan River, and of course the Jordan River forms the boundary between Jordan and the nation of Israel. And you look right across, you can see the Holy Land when you're out there. And we were at the reputed site where Jesus was baptized. Of course, you don't know exactly where that might be, but this is where it is. And right across from the Jordanian one historically identified is, of course, the one on the Israeli side. And there were a lot of converts or people coming down with the white T-shirts and being baptized in various forms of baptism that we were able to watch across the river today. Us being on the Jordanian side. You can see Jericho, the city of Jericho, which is a West Bank city. You can see it over there against the mountains, up a little high. And I guess on a clear day, if you're high enough, you can see clear to Jerusalem, which is about a 2-hour drive, not counting time at a checkpoint, from Amman, and from where we were on the Jordan River, about an hour drive from there. The Jordan River, I've read many times that the river has a lot more water in the past. Don't know what it was like 2,000 years ago, but right now it's like a creek, and it's murky. It's much like it was when I saw it 20 years ago. The water itself is kind of cloudy. Doesn't look very attractive to jump in it, to tell you the truth, and it's slow moving and rather shallow. So the river itself is not all that impressive, other than its significance as a boundary and its significance spiritually or theologically in terms of church history. More interesting than that, I think, is today we drove a little ways from there, maybe half an hour, and then drove up the side of a mountain. It's Mount Nebo, or I think you call it Nebo here, but Nebo I've always called it. And that's, of course, referenced in the New Testament. That's reputedly the mountain where, when I say reputedly, this is the one they think is actually Mount Nebo, same as in the Old Testament. But Mount Nebo is mentioned there in the Old Testament in Deuteronomy, where God took Moses up on the top to look out across and see the promised land. But then, of course, Moses never entered the promised land. He passed at age 120. God buried him somewhere so that the people wouldn't make a shrine probably out of his burial site or make him more than he was. But nevertheless, he's gone, and it was Joshua's time to go into the promised land. But it was really fascinating to be up on the top of this mountain, a large hill, and to look out across toward the Holy Land and be able to see the promised land in a way similar to, we think, that Moses experienced at that time. Again, it happens to be springtime, and it's beautiful. They've had an inordinate amount of rain, so it's rare that most of the landscape that we're looking at is green. It's usually brown and rocky, sandy, but it's very green right now, and a lot of pine trees. Of course, pine trees grow all over the world, and various palm trees and other kinds of interesting flora and fauna that attract me. But it was a great day just to get out and about and in and around and to get a sense of what Amman and what Jordan is like, the Jordanian people. About 10.5 million people in the nation of Jordan, which is bounded by, in the north, by Syria, in the northwest, is that right? No, northeast by Iraq, southeast by Saudi Arabia, and then to the west by Israel. So it's a landlocked country, and Amman is about 4.5 million. But it's a stable, and has been now for 25 or 30 years, stable constitutional monarchy. King Hussein, now his son, and then you got a crown prince who are in line and are the ones who are the noted rulers in the country. That family, and highly respected pretty much by most Jordanians, although like anywhere else there's political protests and some disagreement and controversy. But again, it's been a stable country, and Christians are able to function here. As always, proselytizing is the thing that causes the most concern among those who are officials in certain levels of government. But very interesting day. And Jordan, beautiful country. So this is Rex from Jordan. Glad to be here, and hope to continue this blog, or vlog, as they say, in the next few days.